No, it's not a typo. You need to put on your sunscreen all 13 months of the year. No, I'm not on anything either. Although, this 2020 has pushed us all beyond our limits. Instead of confusing people with 28, 29, 30, or 31 days, our ancestors decided to have just 12 months, each 30 days even. And a 13 month, that's 5 days and 6 days every leap year. We called it efficiency. Today, we'll see why you need sunscreen year-round, what UV radiation is, its benefits and risks. In an effort to make videos short, I'll have a part 2 video where you will get every information to help you pick the right sunscreen to protect you from UV effectively. Oh, my name is Hiwot and I am a safe skincare advocate with a background in pharmacy. Welcome to my channel where you'll find nuggets of wisdom about skin, skincare, and skin concerns you might have as a person of color. When the sun rises in the morning to illuminate the day, it doesn't just send us the visible light. It also sends us heat and ultraviolet radiation, or UV. UV light constitutes about 5% of terrestrial sunlight. It's composed of electromagnetic energy with wavelengths from 400 nanometer to 100 nanometers. To put things into perspective, visible light extends from about 400 nanometer, the deepest violet, we can see to about 700, which is the deepest red. Just as visible light consists of different colors that become apparent in a rainbow, photobiologists divide ultraviolet radiation into 3 wavelength bands: UVA, sometimes called tanning rays, UVB, sometimes called burning rays, and UVC. They differ in their biological activity and the extent to which they can penetrate our skin. The shorter the wavelength, the more harmful the UV radiation. UVC is highly carcinogenic, for example. Fortunately, as sunlight passes through the atmosphere, all UVC and about 90% of UVB lights are absorbed by the ozone, water vapor, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. UVA, however, is not filtered as significantly by the atmosphere and accounts for approximately 95% of the UV radiation that reaches the Earth's surface. Let's see if UV is any good before I take you down this slippery, fear-mongering road today. Beneficial effects of UV radiation include the production of vitamin D, which is a vitamin essential for our health. It helps our body to absorb calcium and phosphorus from food, which in turn assists with bone health. The World Health Organization recommends 5 to 15 minutes of sun exposure 2 to 3 times per week. That's it though. UV radiation greatly affects the skin, causing premature aging, sunburn, and immunosuppressive effect on the antigen-presenting cells within the epidermis and contributes to the likelihood of skin cancer. Photocarcinogenesis and photoaging typically happen on the head, the face, the neck, hands, and arms because these body parts are the most exposed to UV radiation. Most cases of melanoma, the deadliest kind of skin cancer, are caused by exposure to UV radiation. Now let's look at it a bit closer. UVA radiation penetrates deeper into the skin. It's responsible for the immediate tanning effect and produces free radical oxygen species, indirectly damaging DNA. UVA also increases the number of inflammatory cells in the dermis and decreases the number of antigen-presenting cells. What does that mean? Well, it means UV exposure suppresses the immune system and causes harmful free radicals to form in the skin and is associated with higher risk of developing melanoma. Furthermore, it's UVA that contributes to premature skin pigmentation, aging, and wrinkling. Think of UVA as the baddest guy out there who ranks A in creating damage that goes down deeper and breaks down collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid. And unfortunately, more constant throughout the year. UVP is very biologically active but cannot penetrate beyond the epidermis. It causes sunburn and DNA strand breakdown, skin aging, and significantly promotes the development of skin cancer. It causes pyrimidine dimer mutations, which are associated with non-melanoma skin cancers. It causes cancer through photochemical damage to the epidermis cell DNA, damage to the DNA repair mechanism, and suppression of cell-mediated immunity. The tumor suppressor gene p53 has been found to be mutated in over 90% of squamous cell carcinomas of the skin. It's estimated that approximately 9,500 people in the US are diagnosed with skin cancer every single day. The International Agency for Research on Cancer of the World Health Organization classifies sunlight as a group 1 carcinogen. Sun exposure is also strongly associated with photoaging. It's estimated that 80% or more of the changes in the skin that occur over time are due to the extrinsic effects of sunlight. The numbers are shocking, but the good news is we have control over it. Although the sun is by far the strongest source for UV in our environment, an increasing number of people are exposed to artificial sun sources such as tanning beds, some lasers, and some fluorescent lights. Let's now discern some facts from myth. Fun! First myth, darker people don't need to use sunscreen. Fact, everyone needs sunscreen, even us people of color. Yes, we're rich in melanin, and melanin absorbs and scatters UV energy in a similar fashion to sunscreen, providing Fitzpatrick 5 and Fitzpatrick 6 individuals with a baseline estimated SPF of about 7 to 10. This natural SPF allows darker skin tones to tolerate better UV exposure and typically results in tanning with minimal burning. This means we can tan than burn, but nonetheless, we want to apply broad spectrum sunscreen for protection. There is evidence that darker skins can develop squamous cell carcinoma. The natural sunscreen is just not enough. So yeah, don't forget to apply your sunscreen, sister. Also, sun exposure increases the activity of melanocytes, the number of melanosomes produced, and the rate of transfer of melanin to the epidermal keratinocytes. This helps to decrease the absorption of UV radiation by DNA and cellular constitutions, but also dark spots, melasma, and form of hyperpigmentation won't go anywhere unless you avoid this process. Second myth, get the sunscreen out for summer vacay only. In fact, my toddler needs to start going to preschool soon. Hopefully this pandemic will be over, and I have been looking at some schools lately. In their websites, most of the schools I was looking at mentioned their policy is to apply sunscreen following the Memorial Day through Labor Day mark. For those of you outside of the US, Memorial Day is considered the unofficial start of summer in the United States, and Labor Day, which is the first Monday of September, marks the unofficial start of fall. So that means the kids are supposed to be exposed to sunlight the rest of the year. The fact is, we need sunscreen all year round, 13 months a year, and throughout the day, not just during summer, irrespective of where you live on this planet. Yes, UV levels are the highest closer to the equator, because closer to the equator, the sun's rays have a shorter distance to travel through the atmosphere, and therefore less of the harmful UV radiation can be absorbed. During early morning or late afternoon hours, the sun's rays pass at a greater angle through the atmosphere. Much more radiation is absorbed and less reaches the earth. Also, with increasing altitude, less atmosphere is available to absorb radiation. With every 1,000 meters in altitude, UV levels increase by approximately 10%. That means my lovely friends in Addis at an altitude of over 2,000 meters, your UV exposure is 25% higher than somebody like who lives in Dubai, if that helps to simplify it. I know people use sunscreen in Dubai more because it's hot, but don't let the modest temperature of Addis fool you. Myth number 3. You need sunscreen only in sunny days. Fact, you need sunscreen irrespective of clouds and haze. Be careful not to underestimate the amount of UV radiation passing through clouds. Yes, UV levels are highest under cloudless skies, and cloud cover generally reduces a person's exposure. However, light or thin clouds have little effect and may even enhance UV levels because of scattering. Don't be fooled by the overcast day or a cool breeze. Many surfaces reflect UV radiation and add to the overall UV levels you experience as well. While grass, soil, or water reflects less than 10% of UV radiation, sun reflects about 15% and sea foam about 25%. Fresh snow is particularly good reflector and almost double a person's UV exposure. Make sure you apply your sunscreen even when it's snowing and gloomy out there. Okay, now that we have established UV is bad, let's talk about what we have control over. How can we make sure we minimize UV exposure? For starters, there is no safe tan, so we just have to avoid those kind of decisions. For our everyday life where avoiding the sun is not an option, well, avoid peak sun hours whenever possible. Peak UV exposure occurs between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So seek for shade, use hats, sunglasses, and clothing as part of your sun protection. Sunscreen is still a primary prevention method against skin cancer. Studies have provided that the regular use of sunscreen reduces the incidence of melanoma. In my next video, I'll talk about sunscreen. When choosing for a good sunscreen, what should you be looking for? What is SPF? And does higher mean better? Don't miss it. And that's it for today. If I have left you a little nervous about going out without sunscreen after watching this video, I'll have succeeded today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video if you found it relevant. Take care, my friend.